couple of your fellow athletes. Now, who here thinks, hands up, they can compete with either of these two in terms of physical strength? So, not surprisingly, no hands go up. Many people have tried and practically all of them have failed. That's not a fair question. But who thinks you can compete with them for mental strength or determination? Put your hands up if you think you can match them for their mental strength. So again, nobody puts their hands up. But you should all have your hands up. Because it's no different for them than it is for you in terms of what you need to do and where they started from. So they were born with what would turn out to be physical prowess that would lead to them being great in athletics. But mental strength, they needed to learn from scratch the same way that we do. It was an element of their coaching from a young age, and before that, their mental strength was no different to ours. So it can be learned, and the same principles that guided them can guide you. So you can still have the same focus. You won't have the same physical ability, but between the ears you have the same mental ability. There's no difference there's nothing that makes them cleverer than you in terms of what they're doing. And there's no reason why you can't match them for the mental strength that they've shown. Of course, mental strength adds so much to somebody like Mo Farah, to his physical strength. But he has to merge the mental strength with the physical strength to be where he's been for how long he's been there, at the top. So without the mental strength, his physical strength might have waned some while ago. But because his mental strength is strong, because he's learned his mental strength and how to focus and be determined, he's done everything that he has done. Jessica Ennis-Hill tells in her autobiography that when she started as a young, promising athlete, coach for the first time, she had major doubts. She didn't believe in her own ability. She didn't want to get up in the morning. She didn't want to be coached. She had rows with a coach. And gradually, the coach prepared her mentally more and more for what she needed to be in order to be great. So the physical side you can look after in the gym and through training. The mental side needs to be coached. And then she needed to be coached. She called her autobiography unbelievable. So of all the words she could have chosen to sum up her verdict on what she's achieved, she chose unbelievable, because that's what it was to her. When she started out on her journey, when she was a young athlete, being coached for the first time, she had no idea what she would end up achieving. And neither do we. We might think, we could never do that, we could never do that. But we don't know. And when she set out, she had no idea where she was going to end up. And that's why she chose the word unbelievable for her autobiography when she looked back, having achieved everything she has. When you clear your mind of negativity, when you open your mind up to what's possible, then you can achieve things that you also think now are unbelievable. So that's why we need to look at their example when we train our mental strength. We're going to move on to how we prepare for helping our mental strength achieve greater performance. Goal setting is the first task. But just setting a goal isn't enough. It needs to fill certain criteria. It needs to be specific. So it's no use saying, I just want to be better. You have to be specific about how better you want to be. You need to set yourself goals that are attainable. Otherwise, your mind will realise that you're setting itself too big a challenge, and your motivation will slip, your confidence will slip. So goals have to be attainable. They have to be agreed. You have to agree that that's the direction you want to go in. Now, one interesting thing is grading your goals. A goal that you're setting yourself might be quite tough. So the idea is you grade your goals. If you achieve your goal, make that awesome. But grade it for if you get part way to your goal. So grade it good and great before awesome. And if, when you attempt it first time, attempt to go for this goal first time, and you come up a bit short for whatever reason, you can go away saying, well, I got to good. I did good. So you can take something positive out of what would otherwise be regarded as a setback. Same with great. If you get a bit further, you can call it great. This helps the mind cope with not achieving everything you set out to at the first attempt. It's important to create a momentum of achievement. So when you do achieve something, keep reminding yourself how great you are to have done it. And the more you achieve, the more you want to achieve. So your mind will be hungry for the next thing. So this momentum will increase, and you'll find that you will achieve at a faster rate than you would otherwise. It's not just a question of achieving one thing and then another. By achieving the first thing, the desire to achieve the next thing will be increased. So you'll be more motivated, your mental strength will be more focused, and you can go for it, and it'll happen quicker. And this will produce an upward curve of achievement. How many people here want to run a marathon at some stage that haven't yet run a marathon? Rita, Sue, anybody else? Liz? How many can do it in 6 months' time? 12 months' time? You can do it in 12 months' time. The fact is, you can do it in 6 months' time if you want to. You just have to open your mind to the possibility. And this is where I come in terms of personal experience. For those of you who aren't aware, I'll just have a brief recap. A lot of you are aware of my situation 4 years ago. Some of you might not be. So just a brief recap. 4 years ago I was 24.5 stone. 57 with type 2 diabetes and struggling with mobility issues, struggling to get up a flight of stairs, and I lost my wife to breast cancer. So after that happens, you reevaluate your life and where you are, and the conclusion I drew was that I was a mess. So I had two choices, either to stay a mess and gradually get worse, or do something about it. So I joined a gym at 24.5 stone, and the first day at the gym, I was shown around all the equipment, and we got to the treadmill. I was put on the treadmill, and I lasted a minute walking on the treadmill before I had to switch it off, because that was as far as I could go. 13 months later, I ran my first marathon. So if somebody had said to me and stood beside me at that moment, when I could only walk for a minute before wheezing and having to get off on the treadmill, that I would run a marathon a year later, it would be ridiculous. It would just be laughed out of the place. But that's what happened. So this is the point I want to reinforce about how you can do anything you want to do, provided you keep an open mind and provided you have the determination to do it. All I wanted to do after I'd walked for a minute on the treadmill was to go back the next day and try and do a minute and a half. That was the only thing I wanted to do. That's the goal that I set myself. It was specific, it was, I hoped, attainable, all these things. And I managed to do it. So I had my first PB of 1.5 minutes on a treadmill. But that 1.5 minutes became 2, 3, 5, walking still, then a bit of jogging, then a bit of running. Gradually there was walk and run, and then there was more run than walk, and eventually I decided to do a 5k. And it was at that point that I got the idea to do a marathon, because I enjoyed the 5k so much. I hadn't joined a running club, so I didn't have any proper advice. So I was naive in thinking that you just went up a distance every night. As soon as you'd done a 5k, you did a 10k, and then you did a half, and then But I went for it, and at the second attempt, I managed to complete a marathon. But it just goes to show that you can do anything you want if you set a goal, and if you make it specific and attainable, anything's possible, if you have the right mental attitude. And I was so focused on doing it for my late wife that was my drive and determination that I was speaking about earlier. So that counted for a lot of the inner steel I felt when I had to deliver. But you can do the same thing. Just find yourself that determination to do it, and you will do it. The next thing is a reality check. Give yourselves a reality check. Like I did, I had to accept where I was that first day in the gym. So I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't not be 24.5 stone, and I couldn't not make myself last any longer on the treadmill. So you have to accept where you are. A lot of people lose energy, a lot of mental energy, wasting time thinking about what went wrong in the past or why they are where they are, when there's nothing you can do about that. So you need to bin the past, accept where you are, then look ahead. You can't unhappen anything. The only thing you control is today and the future. So focus on that, focus 100% on that, and you'll be able to move on properly without being hindered. The important thing about that is that the past is where your doubts come from. And the one thing you have to get rid of, if you're going to achieve the most you're capable of, is you need to get rid of all the doubts. And the doubts lie in the past, because you think, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, and it affects what you do in the future. So you need to just forget the past and move forward. Turn what you've done in the past into a positive by making it a reason, an opportunity for getting it right next time. And that's the only, and just to take the positive out of it. Next thing is the options you've got. So you're dealing with options. Understanding the options available to you will help you minimize the negativity, increase your optimism, take control. It's all about taking responsibility for how you improve, assume ownership, and choose your path. A lot of this is about giving you a kind of map in your head of where you're starting from and a point where you want to finish. And as with most maps, there's several ways of getting there. And it's up to you to choose which way you prefer to take, whether you want to take the scenic route or the direct route. But just imagine it as these are the options open to you. Which options suit you best to achieve your goal? You take ownership because when you achieve your goal, when you reach the point that you wanted to get to, you have done it on your own. You have taken ownership of it. Your coach cannot tell you what to do to get somewhere. He needs to tell you what you need in your toolbox in order to enable you to make your own way there. And when you make your own way there, that makes the achievement so much greater. The last one in this section is will. The will. You have to have the will to achieve. Desire, dedication, drive, all the D's, determination, and the last one, which always inspired. Don't you dare tell me that I can't do it. And that's the one that you want to repeat over and over again. When you're struggling, don't you dare tell me I won't do this. Because that's going to stiffen your resolve, prove them wrong, the people who told you you couldn't do it. Because nobody knows what the future holds, not even you. Nobody knows what you're capable of, not even you. I proved that in the gym when I started. So, for somebody else to tell you you can't do that is a nonsense. Because if you don't know, there's no way they'll know what you're capable of.